Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Nisha and Jacob from Career Guidance and Adolescent Counseling Cell, Alapura. Today, I'm going to talk about a very important global issue that affects not only the Middle East but the entire world, including India. This discussion is based on a newspaper article titled Decisive New Factors in the Iranian Conundrum. This article is written by Sri Mahesh Sachdev. So, what he says about Iran is not just an opinion. It's based on experience, his intelligence, and real international diplomacy. Let's first understand the background. Iran today is facing one of the most serious crises in its history. There are protests on the streets, the economy is collapsing, people are very angry, frustrated, and exhausted. This unrest began after the death of Mahsa Amini, a young woman who died in police custody. Her death became a symbol of wider anger against the Iranian system. Women, youth, workers, and minorities all came out in protest. But Ode explains that those protests are not just about one incident. They are about years of economic suffering, political repression, and social control. Now let's check the economic crisis. Iran's economy is in deep trouble. The Iranian currency, the rial, has lost its value, most of its value. It once traded at 42,000 per dollar. Now it has fallen to nearly 5 lakh per dollar. This means ordinary people cannot afford basic things. Food prices have risen sharply, and rice, sugar, cooking oil, they become very expensive. Jobs are disappearing. Young people were unemployed. Even educated youth cannot find work. This creates hopelessness and anger. The government has tried price controls and subsidies, but corruption and mismanagement have made things worse. This article also explains how Iran's informal economy works. Iran has a powerful merchant class called the Bazaris. They work closely with religious institutions and the government. They control imports, exports, and currency exchanges. They make profits even when the country is suffering. So while ordinary people struggle, power groups continue to get richer. This creates inequality and resentment. Now let's understand who controls Iran. Iran is not a normal democracy. It's actually ruled by a religious elite led by the supreme leader. The elected president and parliament have limited power. The real power lies with religious bodies and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC. The IRGC controls the military, intelligence, and large parts of the economy. It owns companies, banks, ports, and all industries. So it benefits from instability and sanctions. This makes reform very difficult. The author says that Iran has an official method. It has its own policy to handle protests. First, they use force. Police and security forces crack down. People are arrested, beaten, and sometimes killed. Then they use propaganda. They blame foreign enemies like the United States, Israel, or Saudi Arabia. Then they make small concessions. They promise reforms, but do not change the system. Finally, they wait for people to become tired. This cycle has worked before, but this time the anger is deeper and wider. This article highlights that most Iranians today are young. Two-thirds of the population was born after 1979 Islamic Revolution. They do not remember the old days. They want freedom, dignity, and a better life. They are connected to the world through social media. They can see how people live in other countries. So they are no longer afraid of authority. Now let's look at the international angle. Iran is under heavy US sanctions. These sanctions hurt Iran's oil exports, banks, and trade. The United States and its allies, they wanted to stop Iran from building nuclear weapons. They fear Iran could threaten Israel and destabilize the region. Iran says that its nuclear program is for peaceful purposes, but many countries do not trust it. Because of sanctions, Iran has turned to China and Russia. China buys Iranian oil quietly. Russia uses Iran for drones and weapons. So Iran is not isolated. It still has powerful friends. But the other warns us that this dependence makes Iran vulnerable. China and Russia do not support Iran for love. They do it for their own interests. They can pressure Iran when it suits them. So Iran is stuck between West and new partners. So what's the impact on India? India has a long historical and cultural relations with Iran. Iran is important for India's energy needs and trade. Iran also gives India access to Central Asia and Afghanistan through the Chabahar port. If Iran becomes unstable, India's strategic plans will suffer. If sanctions are lifted, India could benefit from trade and investment. So what happens in Iran matters a lot to India. The author finally asks a big question. Can Iran change peacefully? Or will the system survive by crushing dissent? He says that despite the anger, the ruling elite still controls the military, money, and institutions. So change will be very slow and difficult. But he also says that something important has shifted. People are no longer silent. Fear is disappearing. This makes the future uncertain but full of possibility. This article is important because it helps us to understand that Iran's crisis is not just a local problem. It affects global politics, oil prices, security, and international relations. This article also shows how economics, politics, religion, and foreign policy are deeply connected. It also reminds us that struggles for dignity and freedom happen everywhere. By reading and understanding this article, we become more aware global citizens. This is why Decisive New Factors in the Iran Conundrum by Sri Mahesh Sachdev is not just news. It's a window into the future of the world. Thank you. I'm Dr. Nisha from Care Gardens and Adolescent Counseling Cell, Alapura. See you in the next video.